see on the right-hand side corner, Shalini from Patna gave an idea. We got it made. The walkers that we have generally don't have adjustable legs. This one, she gave an idea. She saw her grandfather. We got the walker improved, designed, licensed to a company. This is a licensing photograph. She gets royalty. She is an entrepreneur in the class 8th. She gets royalty for her design, a modified walker for the elderly people or for the people who can't balance properly. A new model where children are getting to innovate. This is the example with which I should close. Techpedia.in had 100,000 projects a year ago. Today it has 200,000 engineering projects done by 650,000 students from BITS Pilani, from IITs, from NIT, all over the country. Why did we do that? We don't want any student to do a project which has been done already. We wanted originality to be promoted. We never had this database in our country. Now we have. If you want to look at projects of MIT and Stanford at one portal, you will not find it. But India, we have done it. Second, we wanted to connect industry with the students. So Gujarat Technical University had a very interesting option given to the students. Third-year students go to the MSME clusters, write down the problems, write a synopsis on the problem. They get 3 credits. If they try to solve it in 2 terms, they get 6 credits per term, 12 credits to solve the project. Now, if you go to techpedia.in, you will find the name of the industry, the problem, the guide who guided their solution, and the solution they developed for 9,000 students, for 27,000 students for 9,000 industries have solved their final year project as for solving the problem of the industry. So this issue of academic industry linkage that we talk about is solvable. It is doable. I would encourage all of you to think about giving the problems, putting the problems on the agenda of techpedia.in. We can share them with the students. You can have a distributed design. If there's a complex design, modularize it, divide it into 50 components. 5, 10, 20 students can do work on one component. We have numbers on our side. Have high redundancy in the design model. Nobody in the world will be able to solve problems at a cost lesser than what we can do in our country if we follow a distributed design, modular design, distributed design solving problem. The architecture for that, which we have created at techpedia.in. So I'll close by saying that this country is turning around. We have a wonderful environment for innovations to emerge. Slowly and slowly, we are trying to support them also. There's a micro venture innovation fund by which we invest. But each one of you is part of the ecosystem. You are not outside the ecosystem. You are not an observer of the ecosystem. You are part of it. And therefore, you have a duty either to support as financially or just guide people. As a mentor, you can contribute far more than your money. And that kind of input, 1 hour a week, even if you allocate, you will be able to add so much wisdom to the effort of these young boys and girls of our country that nothing else can substitute that. So let me close by saying that what Honeybee Network is trying to provide wings to the ideas of children, of informal sector innovators, of students, of professionals. All of this is available. New ideas are coming out, a wheelchair which can climb on the stairs. IIT Kanpur girl has done it. So many solutions are coming out, which we can see. All of these are available to us. You can see them, you can support them, you can replicate them, you can mentor them, you can guide them, you can critique them, and surely the ideas will go very far and we will be able to develop a lot of solutions. We walk, you are welcome to walk with us. Come and see the cultural diversity of the country, the art. We have a traditional food festival, December 20 to 22nd. All of you are welcome to come to IIM and partake in the traditional food festival. Look at the culinary creativity of our society. We have national innovation clubs being set up. This is the triangle that we all have to make it happen. Innovation, investment, enterprise are very seldom found to be in one person or one place. Transaction costs are very high. With our support, with our joining hands together, we can reduce the transaction cost of all the 3 vectors and we're to find a solution. So let me close by saying that this is a model that has worked. Ultimately, creativity counts, knowledge matters, innovations transform, and incentives inspire, but not material incentives alone, non-material incentives, and not just individual incentives alone, even collective incentives. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Gupta. You have enlightened us, and through his Honeybee movement, how he has collected these small innovations all across the country and brought them into a tangible platform. Laudable work which is being done by Professor Gupta, and his appeal is to network and come together to synergize the effort of these young innovators from rural India and bring them onto the national platform. Thank you, Dr. Gupta, once again. Now we have Mr. Sunil Jain to do his presentation. Thank you.
Good afternoon, friends. I think so we have been all used to sleeping after the heavy lunch, because BIT we never attended the post-lunch class. But I think the previous presentation by Professor is an eye-opener for all of us. Today morning we had Dr. Pachuri talking about the bottom of the pyramid and talking about sustainability. Here the professor is talking about how the people at the bottom of the pyramid trying to come up. The previous panel, the IT panel, did talk of, interacting many things, aligning many things, so that there is an upliftment of the people. I remember Ganesh talking about a fisherman's son, sending a signal to his father that please come home early because there's going to be a storm today. Well, all of us sitting here are very, very privileged. And I don't know really how many of us have really traveled into the villages, and villages also real rural villages. I have that opportunity because many of our projects, what we do in real deep rural India. And if you are a sensitive person, I can assure you, after seeing the plight of the people, you can come back to your hotel room and cry. Well, why I'm saying all this is that there are, as Professor has shown, I think so, he's done a human job, but I'm just trying to see that a lot of things can be done on ground to bring upliftment in the society. One thing is that, we have been always, confusing between inventions and innovations. We use it to, as a complementary, either it's an invention or innovation. But I believe that innovation is definitely different than invention. Inventions are already there. There's something new which has happened. And innovation is something which we are trying to do to use that invention or improve or improvise that invention, which can benefit us in the common life or any other way. All of you are many of us are from the corporate world, and a lot of our chartered accountants do a lot of innovations in tax saving. That's an innovation. But the tax laws are already there, and we would come out with new things to save tax. Similarly, if you go to rural India, there are three basic things which people today don't have. They don't have enough food, they don't have enough water, and they don't have enough electricity. In fact, they don't have any electricity. And if you go to Rajasthan, even in today's world, we have met women who travel 5 kilometers to get a bucket of water. So, what are we doing? We continue with the same thing, or can we use some innovations to do it? 12 to 40% of our post-harvest agri products perish. And this is a country which does not have enough food for its people. Why it perishes? Because we don't have good storage systems. We have only 13% of the food which is stored. And why we don't have good cold storage systems? Because we don't have electricity. Even if we have electricity, it's so erratic that the cold storage has to run on DG sets, so it's very expensive, so it's not viable. You got almost 20% of the milk perishes every day, because the transportation is not refrigerated, and the poor fellow, the milkman who transports it to the cooperative or wherever, especially in the summer seasons, it perishes. And India, barring the northern India, all other are relatively warm places. Can we do something? I believe yes. Converting energy from solar is already invented, so we are not doing any inventions, but we can innovate. And there is an innovation which somebody has done in Gujarat. He has created, you have seen ice cream vans, all over the country, the ice cream wala would come to your locality. Somebody has created a similar sort of a cart with a solar panel on the, he's got a sort of a small canopy on which he has put the solar panels. He's converting that and he's refrigerating that cart and he's transporting the milk of the fellows. Now this is a small innovation. The further innovation happened that the milk guy who milks the cows, he's got a mobile. He sends a signal to that cart fellow that, okay, my milk is ready, you please come and collect. So what is happening is, it became a business model and became a business model which was self-sustainable because now 100% of the milk could be transferred. He could get money for the 100% of the milk and he was willing to pay that for the cost, that cart fellow. And cart fellow was willing to invest because he was getting paid for it. So one thing is very important is that whatever innovation we do in our country and put it to use, it should be self-sustainable. Anything which is going to run on a subsidy or on a charity is going to as long as it lasts. So the idea is that all our innovations, whatever professor has shown, I don't know how many of them, as long as they are self-sustainable, they will work. Otherwise, they are all for short period. We are doing a project in Rajasthan after we saw the plight of the women. Although it may not be the very right thing for the environment, but we have put up solar water pumps. Now, we are taking out water and giving it to the people. But if I give it free, then there's going to be a big misuse. So what we have done is, we put a tank and we've put 10 taps on the tank. And we've given a smart card to each of the families in the villages. Each family is allowed 15 liters of water every day. And they have to pay us 15 rupees for that 15 liters. If they do not have 15 rupees, we still give them and ask them that there is an account with them which is registered in the smart card, and whenever they get money, they pay us. You won't believe it. There were women who were willing to touch the feet of the people who are operating those plants. Why? Because now she says her income has gone up because she's able to spend that 3 hours which she was wasting in getting that water on her field or doing some other work, and she's getting some extra income. Now this was a small innovation done by some engineers, that how we must ask them to pay for it. We asked them that we can do a charity. They said no. If you do a charity, the water will be wasted because people will not value that water. And today every drop is valued. So these are those ground level innovations which are required in the villages. Solar, electricity is very common now. I don't call it an innovation anymore. We are giving electricity to the poor through solar. And let me tell you this, there are prepaid electricity cards nowadays being given to the villagers. That okay, he wants to buy a electricity for 100 rupees, we give him a card and it users consume electricity for 100 rupees. So, whatever you have technology, you have to integrate. We have an open book today, what Ganesh talked about in Singapore. I thought it was an open Facebook for you because you are exposed to everything. Even your bedrooms are exposed now if that technology comes in. Probably we could use that technology to integrate villages and rural India and uplift the bottom of the pyramid. I think that is what is required. And innovations at our level is only a smartness. I get a smartphone, I can download songs and all those things. But the true reality of innovation would be sustainability at the lower level. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jain. It was really enlightening to know how bottom of the pyramid you are affecting through technology. And now we have Mr. Popley. He is a Chairman, Managing Director, IREDA. He'll enlighten us with his thoughts.
Thank you, Mr. Mathur, Professor Gupta, Sunil Jain, and friends of the dais. Professor Gupta had given many examples of innovation. Sunil Jain has also given some examples. I have been in power sector throughout. We have not dealt with innovation strictly. And I was wondering what has changed during last 6-7 years, and what was the innovation that has brought this change. We all know every country needs to innovate, every company innovates. Maybe that is not done in a very orderly and reliable way. And successful innovations follow an invisible path, which is generally not visible. Talking about climate change, India has not accepted emission targets, reduction in emission targets. We had given a plea that our per capita emission is the lowest, and we had not accepted any binding emission targets. We knew that there will be a lot of pressure from international bodies, and government came out with 8 missions. One of the mission was solar mission in 2009. At that time, the cost of solar project was 20 crores per megawatt, and cost of power was 15 rupees, compared to thermal power cost of 2.5 rupees. We had a lot of discussions with financiers, and in all our thinking, we found no way this would become sustainable. Why will somebody buy power at 15 rupees? And considering a CUF of 20% for solar, the cost of solar project equivalent to a thermal project would be 80 crores per megawatt. And considering we, as a poor developing country, I mean emerging economy, I'll say, for 1,000 megawatt of solar, 1,000 megawatt of thermal power equivalent, if we have to invest, it will cost around 80,000 crores. So we said, well, how will it be possible? So the great idea that came was, they came with the solar mission. They set a target of 22,000 megawatt for 2022. And they said, well, we will do 1,000 megawatt. We'll bundle it with solar thermal power. 4 units of thermal power, 1 unit of solar, and we will sell it to the SCBs for 4.5 rupees. Now, this was a game-changing idea. 1,000 megawatt of solar was installed. The technology was established. Then, the role incentives play in innovation, there was no way we could tell state electricity regulators that they should come out with a tariff for solar. At that time, the tariff was 15 rupees. And they have to protect interest of the consumers also. So the regulator, central regulator came up